Sign up today for a 7-day free trial at alerts.chartguys.com. Hello, crypto friends. It's been a while. Finally tuning back in. Been traveling on the road. Haven't had a lot of internet out here in the mountains of Colorado. But Bitcoin bulls are certainly keeping control. We're going to check in on Bitcoin, Ethereum Litecoin, XRP, ADA, and Binance as usual. So again, the thing that stands out the most to me in this current market environment is how well Bitcoin bulls are completely shaking off any bearish news. Since we've last talked, we had a hack in Binance for $40 million. We didn't even lose the 4-hour uptrend in Bitcoin on the bearish reaction to that news. That tells us we're remaining very strong. Last we checked in, we had the daily bull flag playing out. That confirmed, and we've seen follow through over this key $6,000 resistance zone. And now we are continuing this daily uptrend. And the bulls are so comfortable with where we stand that we can pull back anywhere above 55, 65 and still be in a daily uptrend at this point. Looking at the weekly time frame, as we know, we have not consolidated on this weekly chart since the trend change took place. And I'm going to have to do another survey on Twitter. Last time we did the survey, 2,500 or so people responded, and they said 1/3 said we are headed to lower lows, 2/3 said they thought the bottom was in. And a lot of the people I asked, okay, if you think we're heading to lower lows, what would it take to change your stance to the fact that the bottom is in? And a lot of them said breaking 6,000 and trading over this level for a while. So I'm curious to see how many people have now converted to thinking that 3,000 is the bottom. And we'll do that Twitter poll soon over the weekend, perhaps early next week. So we had the bull cross on the weekly time frame of the 12 and 26 period moving average. We're in this previous price resistance zone. I'm looking at 68.10 and 68.23 is a little double top of resistance on Coinbase before we did drop down and break that equilibrium bearish. So we're heading up towards those resistance levels. When we lose the daily uptrend, we're going to look for a healthy weekly consolidation to form a weekly higher low, because the last weekly higher low, I'm looking down at 38.58. Every single candlestick on the weekly time frame, 6 weeks in a row, has been a higher low compared to the previous week, so we have not pulled back to form that higher low since 38.58. So we have a lot of space for the bulls on the weekly, a lot of space for the bulls on the daily, 4-hour time frame currently consolidating, and we had a bull flag on the 4-hour confirm, another little bull flag confirm, but we're in a scenario where we've seen in recent past this lead to consolidation. So keeping an eye out for it. Just the fact that we had a bull flag and a bull break back here with no follow through, and then we started to see some choppy action. So the fact that we got a bull break with a lack of follow through, the 4-hour uptrend 62.35 needs to hold to keep that in control. And if we lose 62.35, we then zoom out to the daily and say, all right, looks like daily consolidation is underway as we are potentially forming a bearish reversal candlestick on the daily chart. But we still have the exponential support. We're heading down towards that level, the 12 period, and we still have the uptrend on the 4-hour intact. We can see the pullback getting a little bit more extreme. The most bear volume on the hourly time frame that we've seen in the past couple of days is currently occurring. And what we're watching for is the 15-minute RSI. Look at the bearish reaction to the Binance news. This is the chart guys, the alert.chartguys.com free trial alert system. But again, 15-minute oversold climax. The signal that has been working in this market cycle has not gone off on Bitcoin in a long time. Last time it went off was here on May 4th. But look at the bottom of the bearish reaction to Binance. Literally triggered at the bottom. And from there, we went from the 5600s all the way back up to the 6400s. So keeping an eye on this signal, because this is the market environment where this is the signal. We've had other market environments in early 2018 when the signal was the 4-hour oversold climax, but the 15-minute keeps coming into play. So that's certainly something we're watching for. And right now on this pullback that we're currently seeing, 15-minute RSI is about to be oversold. And looks like if we were to drop down under 6,200, we would get a climax signal with the current pullback that we are seeing. So we'll check back in after doing these other names to see if that 15-minute is going to drop down into climax conditions. And of course, volume's a factor, RSI is a factor, and there's a couple other little factors mixed in there as well. So Ethereum, I still currently have an Ethereum position and entered back in the upper 160s. I sold half of my position for profit of about $7 or so. So my break-even point on that trade is the low 160s. So I have a stop below 162 here, because if we lose 162, we lose the daily uptrend, and I'll pretty much be out break even, which I'm fine letting this trade try and ride out while Bitcoin is still in a bullish daily uptrend. We still have consensus coming up for Ethereum. That's still on the radar. So if we can keep this daily uptrend, I'll stay in my position. If we lose the daily uptrend, I will be stopped out of my position, and that will give us a tightening weekly range. We'll have the highest price that we saw up to 187.62, the low of the pullback, which was down at 146, and this would be a weekly lower high if we lose the daily uptrend from here, and there is the chance that we change the weekly trend back to the bears. So we do have to be cautious. There is a big difference. Bitcoin has not even consolidated on the weekly. Ethereum consolidated for 3 weeks, tried to see continuation, and is currently failing with that continuation. 4-hour uptrend just lost on Ethereum, and the hourly time frame, there's your bearish reaction and bear volume to what Bitcoin is currently seeing. So very easy to manage this trade for me, just break even. And I know that if I do get stopped out, it's because a key support level and a key daily trend have broken. If we can hold the daily exponential support and hold 162, I'll stay in this trade and hopefully see the bulls get up over 187, which would build a lot of confidence in that position for me. Litecoin on the daily chart, we've had a little bit of choppy action. We had a bull break and now we're pulling back. 81.50 is the most important short-term resistance. And we have a couple little higher lows, 70.55 and then 71.31. So looking at it on the 4-hour time frame, big upper wick of some profit taking, but still maintaining the higher lows of 74.54. Just a little bit of choppy action, and I would wait for some more clarity within this range, personally waiting to see if these Litecoin bulls can regain momentum in their favor, because right now the weekly time frame formed our higher low, but we need the follow through to try and set a lower high, which we are going to anticipate it's going to be a lower high compared to 120. And again, just comparing it to Ethereum, Ethereum clearly saw its base of support on the weekly and made its move back up towards resistance, and Litecoin has not made nearly as convincing a bull move back up towards its own resistance. XRP is very bearish comparative to what everybody else is doing. We're grinding down, breaking some short-term supports, rejecting from the daily exponential resistance, and we're just looking down at 289 and 284, while there's a lot of strength out there in Bitcoin and other plays. So certainly still seeing the weakness on XRP, inside bar on the weekly last week, and inside bar forming this week. We'll see how those inside bars break. But again, at this point, there's other better, stronger plays out there. And you can always compare to Bitcoin, which is clearly seeing the lead recently. And if we look at XRP BTC on the weekly time frame, it's just off a cliff. Weekly's oversold, daily's crushed. Worth keeping an eye out for a bounce, but look at this daily 12-period exponential resistance. This has been rejecting the price for months, and until the bulls can get over that, it's not really going to mean a whole lot. ADA USD is also bearish. We just broke to lower lows. The weekly higher low has not been established yet. Again, there's clearly names that are being in favor right now in this bullish Bitcoin environment, and Bitcoin is the leader in a lot of instances. We do have some altcoins with some significant run-ups of their own, but when we look at a name like ADA and XRP, it's not the kind of name that we want to be sitting in with opportunity cost wasted in other names that are seeing follow through and just trying to hope that the bulls establish their support and shift the momentum. We want to be somewhere where the momentum is already in our favor, ideally. Anything on ADA under 747 is just a daily lower high, and there's a lack of support in this current area. Have to get back over the daily exponential resistance, struggling at those levels similar to XRP. Binance had the bearish reaction to the hack. The weekly time frame broke the inside bars bearish, which was a clear indication that weekly consolidation was underway. Anything above 1625 keeps the weekly higher lows intact, so the uptrend is still there. And the daily time frame, look at the pattern of a lower high every single day for the last 8 days in a row. Breaking that pattern will be notable for a short-term momentum shift. Look at the 4-hour exponential resistance. Rejection, rejection, rejection. If we can see a 4-hour higher low and then a bull break of the top here of $20, that will change the 4-hour trend. We will likely break the lower high everyday pattern. We will get over the 4-hour exponential resistances. That's something to be watching for. This is the kind of trade setup where if I were going to enter bullish, I would either be entering now and putting a stop under $19, or I would wait for the 20 break and then use the stop of under $19 to see that daily momentum shift. And we would just be looking for a daily lower high in the $21, $22 area, but worthwhile for a short-term bounce to be scouting on Binance once this hack and news gets digested and the market can recover from that. So checking back in on Bitcoin as we wrap it up here, we've got the 15-minute, didn't hit that oversold climax, didn't drop down deep enough. 62.35 is support, and we dropped down to 62.32 essentially. So still holding on. Let's see where that 4-hour level was again. That was the 62.35. So we're going to call that a hold of support at this point. Bitcoin has to drop to a lower low for a clear break. And if we can hold that level for the next couple hours, it's another victory for those Bitcoin bulls. If not, again, daily bearish reversal candlestick may be forming, and we'll have to see if tomorrow confirms that pullback with some downside. So I appreciate you watching. Hope you're doing well. We'll be back to more regular check-ins once I'm back home Sunday, and I appreciate you watching. Going to have some videos next week of this Colorado trip. Had some really cool hikes in Rocky Mountain National Park with a bunch of snow and nobody around. That was the best part. It was weekday, Thursday, early morning, and there was nobody there. So some nice solitude out in nature and hanging out in Denver, Red Rocks area, heading to a show later and back on Sunday. So see you all then. Thanks again. Hope you're well. So we're checking in now. We got the chard going. Eggplant still struggling a bit to get its roots down. And we got some string beans over there. Potatoes exploded. So I held up the potatoes by putting dirt around the base of them so that the potatoes can grow in. That's a summer squash. Cilantro's doing well. Got the basil up. Lots of basil for pesto. And the cucumbers are climbing like mad. I'm going to run them up there, and I've also got too many, so I'm going to run them along the railing as well. And these tendrils, they reach out to grab, and you can put them and touch the string, and an hour or two later they'll be wrapped around them. It's pretty astounding how fast they wrap. And the tomatoes are going. I'm going to have to prune them because they're going to get crowded in there with 2 to a pot. And if they're too crowded, then that's when the moisture accumulates and the dew in the morning, and that leads to blight, which is a big problem in this area. So the solution is don't let soil, blight's a fungus, so don't let the soil splash up on the leaves, and cut the lower branches once it's big enough so that the lower branches aren't near the soil. And you want it to dry off every morning as soon as possible, hitting the earliest light. Pretty much it's inevitable, you're going to get blight. It's just how long until it hits. More cukes. Bigger guys. So trellising them up, the strings, and I got some backup guys that I'll send out this way. And the peas are coming along. So peas are growing up their trellis. I do have some aphids and slugs that I'm dealing with, but strawberries. And these are the winter peas that are climbing up. And spinach. That's the update.